The following program deals with sexual situations and contains suggestive language. Parents with young children present are strongly cautioned. Welcome to Time for Hope, a faith-based mental health program. Join our host, certified clinical mental health counselor and Christian psychotherapist Dr. Freda Cruz, and her guests as they discuss real-life issues and offer expert clinical advice and solid biblical application for any and all life situations. Now, here's the host of Time for Hope, Dr. Freda Cruz.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Time for Hope. I appreciate having all of you join me as my guest and I interact related to a subject that even husbands and wives sometimes find difficult to discuss. My guest, Christian author and speaker Bette Nordberg, has chosen to write a book titled Pure Sex, Great Sex, Discovering God's Best for Marriage, to help couples discover and realize the excitement and connection that God intended for them through marital sex. Stay with us while we discuss and give directions for a fulfilling sexual relationship throughout your marital journey. Bette, it's great having you come and give your time to discuss your book with me on Time for Hope.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I know that you know, and that there was a time when I would have given that introduction, that the TVs would have been turned off and they would have thought I had lost my mind taking the chance of talking about what we're going to be talking about today. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's probably true. Yes. Times have changed in so many ways.
Yes.
Not all of them
especially
good.
A Christian program.
Yes.
That's where they would not have been expecting it. And I still think that's where it's missing in our churches and so forth. But I'm not in all the churches. I can just say that about interacting with my grandchildren and where they are and so forth. I totally agree with you that the standards are almost nil anymore when it comes to our young people in sex.
And ironically, the standards are not as different as we'd like them to be in the church for young people and sex, which is sad, I think, in some ways. So
that's true. One of my guests, actually, in writing a book on the subject, and we did it, he said that young people will go to a big gathering at the church, for youth on Friday night, leave there, and go engage
enjoy
in sex.
One another. Yeah.
Enjoy one another.
Yeah.
That just really shocked me.
It's very sad, but we're seeing statistics outside the church and inside the church in many areas mimic one another. The divorce rate, for instance, is sad inside the church.
Ago, it became actually more in the church than it is in secular society.
And part of the trouble with statistics is that they don't tell you everything. For instance, divorce is not as prominent in couples who pray together every day, for instance. So we have ways of differentiating. There were so many people talking about sex before marriage and the value of virginity and purity before marriage. But when I started thinking about it, I thought, there's really nobody talking about sex and purity, sex and focus, sex and marital health after marriage. And there's a lot of stuff about people who are in trouble with pornography and those kinds of addictions, but nothing about how does a couple really develop a happy, healthy sex life and keep it going for a lifetime?
Yeah. The latest stats that I've seen on pornography, especially with men, that a great number of the men sitting in our churches are engaging in pornography.
I think it's true. I think it's true.
But anyway, let's go back to the beginning with the whole idea that God created us as sexual beings. He made male and female and there was a purpose for that. His first institution was the family. After creating Adam and Eve, his first institution was the family. And so then we come up with the whole idea, male and female. You know, I remember getting a letter or a few years ago about my view of homosexuality and so on and so forth. I get all kinds of questions in letters, and this is the way I answered it. If a couple getting married can produce a baby, then it's okay. Produce a baby, okay? And so God said to Adam and Eve, go and replenish the earth. Mm-hmm. Doesn't that say it? Mm-hmm. That it's male and female, and we are to be able to have offspring.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And not in vitro. That's not what God planned. And he planned. So when my husband was in seminary, there was a big issue, a big argument going on about sex. Now, this is how far I date back. And they said it was for procreation, that it was for procreation.
Only? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and there was a big debate going on. And then we had young people in this seminary just getting married and so on and so forth. But you say, and we know, it was not just for procreation that he made us male and female and created us as sexual beings. I'll let you comment on that.
Well, Paul spends a lot of time telling us that we have sexual needs, and that as husbands and wives, one of our jobs is to meet one another's sexual needs. And that implies way more than procreation, doesn't it? And with so often when we talk about sex, we want to go right into all the bad stuff and why it's all bad, but we neglect to say why sex is so good, what power it has in a relationship between a husband and wife. For instance, the power to heal, the power to build confidence, the power to reconnect. Can I tell you a really quick story? Mm-hmm. My husband and I were headed for vacation, and my husband's a dentist, a right-handed dentist, and he fell asleep on this overnight flight, and when he woke up, his right hand was completely paralyzed. It happened in Dallas, Texas, and we went straight from the plane to an emergency room, and the doctor said, I think what's happened is you have a peripheral nerve injury from sleeping on your ulnar nerve, or your brachial plexus, and he said, I'm going to send you to a neurologist. So we went straight from the emergency room to the neurologist, and he said, in the emergency room, Kim had tried to put on a rubber glove because that's the way he does business, and he couldn't even open his hand to get his fingers in the glove. And I could see his whole life flash before him. I'm only 40, I'll never be able to work again. We went to the neurologist, and he said, well, you have 2 weeks. Either your hand will come back or it won't. And we went to a hotel. We'd been flying all night, and we had an intimate moment together. And I knew as a young wife, what he was asking me is, if I never get my hand back, do you still love me? If I never can provide for you and the family in the way that I have, will we be okay? And all of those things were said in that intimate moment that we shared that built us up. And now, 20 years later, I remember that as a really special day between the two of us. That moment of crisis, it was a reinforcing, reconnecting, recommitting time. That's power. You can't do that with a handshake. We need to talk about the great power that sex has in a great marriage.
All right. Then, as we move on, it was that God expects, though, out of this beautiful thing that He has given us, He expects purity, mm-hmm. and that's what we've lost so much of in our day. I think at one time it was it was maybe overdone. Like in my day, when they wouldn't even say the word pregnant around us. They'd say PG and think we didn't know what they were talking about. But we've come a long ways, and so it's had good and bad, though, in the journey of coming to where we are today. But that shouldn't take away from God's original plan for creating us like He did, and for what He intended to happen with a couple and the sexual relationship.
Whenever you have something valuable, you want to protect it. Whether it's valuable jewelry, you might keep it in a safe deposit box, or a valuable car, a husband will go out and polish it and keep it clean. But the sexual relationship is just that valuable. And young people don't know how to cherish it and protect it. And our culture is not helping them do that, you might have noticed. It's telling them all kinds of lies, like that flirting is an innocent business, that dressing in inappropriate ways won't affect your marriage, that having a best friend for a woman who's a man can't possibly hurt your marriage. Those kinds of lies are being told in such an appealing and convincing way. And from movies to television, our young ladies are hearing that, and nobody's telling them how to protect and cherish this incredible gift that God's given us. And that's what I was trying to do.
Well, you know, the divorce rate has played into that, with women having to be single and having to live together expense-wise, so that they have enough money to raise their children and their family and so forth. I know we went through an era where it was very evident, and it was happening, that women slept into a relationship with the other woman that they were sharing the apartment or the house with, and so forth, and began to bond, and then the next thing you know, there is a sexual union there. So,
well, and I think your point is so wise, because the truth is, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'll have an affair today. I wonder what John in shipping is doing. You know, that's not how affairs begin. And so everybody gets married, I believe most people get married thinking, I'm gonna have this relationship for life. Excuse me. And they want to, but they allow themselves to slip into relationships that become something they weren't intended to. And the place to stop that isn't at the point where you're thinking about having sex with John in shipping. It's before you build the relationships, and that's what you were saying. Exactly.
Well, after World War II, when women went to the marketplace to work, that's where a lot of this goes back to. A lot of change can be dated back to the end of World War II, and the women being, well, during the war, actually, they were in the shipyards for the first time. And you put male, female, you put woman, man together day after day, then the bonding can take place if they're not guarding their heart and asking God to give them the strength to overcome the temptations that are there.
It's such a wise point. When I was in Israel, one of the things that our guide told us was that you can tell who lives in what apartments, whether they're Muslim or Jewish. And he said the reason is because the Muslims want their wives to be in a single family dwelling, not an apartment house, because Muslims have as a tradition the idea of protecting their wives from this very issue, contact with other men. And the important point that you made right there is that it doesn't happen by isolating women, it happens by changing our heart. I tell women when I speak with them, you cannot affair-proof your marriage. You can only affair-proof you. It has to happen here. And that was the kind of idea. Okay, so if I'm going to affair-proof me, what decisions do I make every day about how I dress, what I read, what I watch on television, who I have lunch with, who I ride to work with even? all of those decisions actually help to make a difference in your choice to cherish, protect, and grow your sexual relationship with your husband.
A very good point, and it's time for us to go out on break, and we'll be right back. There is a saying, anything you can do, I can do better. Sometimes it appears to me that this is Satan's motto when it comes to imitating the works of God. But when it comes to Satan trying to redesign God's designs, we could paraphrase this by saying, anything you do, I can mess up. For sure, he has done this with God's design for the sexual relationship between man and wife. He takes what God designed to be beautiful and fulfilling and turns it into something that becomes everything God didn't intend it to be. Sex was never intended to be engaged in outside of marriage. It was never designed for people of the same sex. God intended it to serve the purposes of mutual enjoyment and spirit and soul connection for marital partners, and to carry out the command that he originally gave to multiply and replenish the earth. Sexual wholeness requires coming to understand the whole idea of the sexual relationship between man and woman originated with God and was intended for our good and pleasure. Admittedly, judging by today's standards, this is a bit puritanical. Filmmaker Mike Nichols was supposedly quoted in a newspaper article during the time in early 1998 when the news broke related to President Bill Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky. I was thinking about how much the problems of our Puritanism are like a kid growing up. In an expansion of Nichols' comments, he referred to what he called the weird thinking of some people that the president should be a model for sexual purity and faithfulness to his wife. He went on to comment that our country is seeing it through a kid's eyes. But when we grow up, we will come to understand that it is all right to let go of our puritanical roots and forget about what is right and wrong. Sadly, in America, this has happened to a great degree, and we need more than ever to return to our puritanical roots. Thank you for staying with us on Time for Hope. My guest for today is Bette Nordberg, and we're talking about her book, Pure Sex, Great Sex, Discovering God's Best for Marriage. And Bette, you will agree with me. I know you will. You go to a wedding, and it's so beautiful. And you're so happy for the couple, and they're so happy usually at that time. And you are right, and others are right. They don't have the slightest idea or inkling that that same marriage might end in divorce, that they can become as bitter lovers, bitter as they are happy on the day of their wedding. Actually, one of Gary Smalley's sons, they were on my show, and one of his sons admitted that he and his wife ran into conflict on their honeymoon. You bring two people from two different worlds, two different families, two different, situations in to be together, and they're supposed to work towards being one, and you're inevitably going to have conflict in in that relationship. How does that play into or fit into this fulfillment and satisfaction and enjoyment that you're talking about the sexual relationship?
I am so glad you asked that specific question, because I think there's a little secret that is rarely known among most women, and that is that males and females are more than just different physically or even physiologically, but even hormonally. A man experiences something during a sexual experience with his wife that is entirely different than anything she does in her entire life. During and immediately before and during and immediately after, a man experiences an oxytocin bath. Oxytocin is a hormone that's responsible in women for the contractions of labor, for the dilation of the cervix, for the letdown reflex in nursing. And in women, scientists actually believe today that it actually may help a woman bond to her newborn baby. But the only time a man experiences that oxytocin bath is during his sexual relationship with his wife. And some people think that it may be God's way of enabling a man to bond with his wife. And it's the only time he gets that bath. And for a woman, she wants to have sex as an expression of her bondedness to a husband. And a husband wants to have sex as a way to bond to his wife. Isn't that kind of a conflicted way to live? So you can imagine in a couple where they're going, you spent money, you didn't come home, you didn't have dinner, you know, all of that going on. She's thinking, are you kidding? I don't want to have a relationship with you tonight. And he's thinking, let's have a relationship so we can get back to where we started. So you can see that their approach to this thing can be very almost dysfunctional, but a wise woman recognizes that that's how her husband gets the energy to want to work on the relationship. And a wise husband recognizes, I need to solve conflict in order for my wife to be wanting to reunite with me in that sexual way. So it's...
How do they learn that? How do they learn that?
Whoa, they read my book. That's one way they learn that. I learned it a very hard way. My husband and I were apart for a year. We lived at different addresses for a year. We had developed a relationship that was so full of conflict and so dysfunctional that I was so angry I was either going to kill him or move out. So I took a year off. I call it go to your separate corners, you know. That's what we told the kids we were doing. And we worked hard at our relationship. But what I recognized during that time was he was so articulate, he told me that. He was able to say, you know, when we are having a sexual relationship, I want to try to work on our marriage. That was the way I learned it. It was only later that I understood the chemical reason behind it.
You know, you can be so thankful that you had a husband that was willing to admit that and say that to you, because
in so many ways.
Husbands would not admit that. You know, one of the things that stood out in your book to me, after many, I was married a long time before my husband passed away. But one of the things that stood out to me is, and I encourage men to stay with us on this. It's not just for women that we're putting this information out, that they want to pleasure their wives sexually. That it's not just for them to take that bath that you were talking about.
Yes.
They want to know that
it is so true. I've done many interviews, and so many of the interviewers say, you know, I just love it when my wife enjoys herself sexually. And Dr. Kevin Lehman, who wrote the book Sheet Music,
he is something else. I know him.
he says most healthy men want their wives to have jaw-dropping sex. It's their desire to please their wives. That's exactly what you're saying.
That really would make them feel like
a man.
A man.
Yeah. Look what I can do.
And I totally.
So her job is to enjoy it and figure out how.
They're looking for a way to feel like a man, aren't they?
We're sounding a little prejudiced here, I think.
No, I think God wanted it that way. I think He made them that way and made us the way He did. Adam needed a wife, and God took a rib and gave him a wife. And no, I think I don't think there's any prejudice in that. So anyway, we're going to continue our discussion for next week. And so you just sit tight while I close out and talk to our viewers, and then we'll come back and start the second week of this show, because there's a lot of stuff between these two covers, and we're only highlighting so that they'll be sure they get a copy of your book. We want them to have the whole story, and so just sit tight. And I have a letter here. Actually, someone with a problem sharing it with us, and we pray over each and every prayer request that comes in to Time for Hope, and we've already taken this one to our Heavenly Father, but I want to share it with you, and you will understand that you're not the only person with issues that, and if you haven't called in and asked us to pray with you or share them with us by email or some other way, we encourage you to do that. Dear Dr. Freda, I need prayer for my marriage because of my husband's adultery and pornography and addiction. That's a deadly combination for a marriage. Our pastor has recommended counseling, but he is refusing to go. Please pray for us. And as I indicated, we have, and we sure hope that we hear that he finally relents and goes to counseling with her. And this is so very often the story, that the men do not want to go to counseling and talk about their marriage, but we hope this husband will change in that. And then I have a note of encouragement. Dear Dr. Freda, thank you so much for Time for Hope. It is such a blessing. Thank you for the ministry that goes out to others through the program. It is so needed in the body of Christ, and I totally agree with you, and we've already discussed that with our guest. The body of Christ, the church, needs to get on this wagon, the bandwagon related to this subject, and not hang their heads in shame in any shape, form, or fashion. It's declaring the whole gospel, and I have something to bring up with Betty next week about that. So we look forward to you joining us again next week on Time for Hope.
A free fact sheet that contains additional information about today's topic is available upon request from our ministry. You can also receive a copy of today's resource for a contribution of any amount to the Time for Hope ministry. Call us at 800-669-9133. Write us at Post Office Box 2169, Spartanburg, South Carolina 29304. Or visit our website at timeforhope.org. When you call or write, prayerfully consider a donation to our ministry. Our ministry's mission is to offer hope to discouraged and hurting people. As we continue to give out messages of hope, a financial gift of any amount to support this ministry will be greatly appreciated. When you do this, you are joining us in offering hope to many viewers seeking help and hope for their situation. This will also enable us to inform and inspire some viewers to expand our mission, as they learn and in turn can minister more effectively to hurting people around them. Until next time, have a great week. And remember, it is time for hope.